Put your hands on the couch, do some push-ups, whatever you want to do something, right? Because every single thing you do causes your body to release fat from the cells to burn because you're not putting any sugar in it for calories, right? So after 2 weeks, you can add back in all the fat really you want. Now, I don't mean just sit around with a jar of fat and eat it, but you can eat the fat on meat. You can eat all the olive oil you want, coconut oil. You can have eggs for breakfast. You can do anything you want.
Bacon?
The fat, you can have bacon. It's not going to throw your diet off. It's not. Because after 2 weeks, your body, for most people, 2 weeks is long enough, if they stayed away from sugar, it's long enough to change your metabolism to where you're actually burning fat for energy and not sugar. Because you're programmed genetically to be a fat-burning machine. And you can tell when your metabolism has changed because you'll be able to exercise on an empty stomach. You'll be able to go 5 or 6 hours without eating and become hungry, but not become panicky and have to grab something. You just know, well, I better go eat something, right? That shows that your body is actually turned over to burning fat, and now you're home free because now your system burns up fat when you eat it. This is the reason why fat in your food is often bad for you, because in the presence of sugar, your body can't do anything with it. It has to deal with sugar. And so once you remove the sugar, you can burn fat all day for energy. And it gives you much more energy without the ups and downs. This is why the new Vital Balance has palm oil in it. Why is that? Because it's a medium chain triglyceride, just like coconut oil. And what that means is it's a fat that the body just burns as fuel. It doesn't store it anywhere, it just burns it for fuel. It gives you energy. The reason it's so good for your brain, what it says in the literature, is because most people's brains are experiencing inflammation from too much sugar in their diet, and it's actually causing something called glycation end products, which is almost like the burnt brown stuff on a pot roast when you put it in the oven, right? That's glycation. The fats are burnt to a certain thing. It happens in your cells from too much sugar. So your brain has lost its ability to process sugar as fuel properly when you had too much of it, but it doesn't lose its ability to process medium chain triglycerides. And so your brain gets energy from it. So now after 2 weeks you've added the fat in, you're burning fat for energy. And for most people, if you're not diabetic, you can start eating some grains. But pay attention to the grains you eat. Don't eat white bread. There's nothing in it for your system at all. It's just glue. Don't bother with it. Insects don't like it. I vow that I don't eat anything that bugs won't eat, right? If this bug thinks it's stupid, I'm not going to argue with a bug, right? So literally put whole grains in your body and see how you react to it. If you tend to feel like you start craving sugar, then cut back on those grains, try a different one. But grains don't need to be that big a part of your diet, especially if you want to lose weight. If you're diabetic or want to lose weight, just cut them out for 30 days. I can guarantee you, if you follow this program, you'll lose 10 to 15 pounds in 1 month. It won't be that hard. And you can eat all day, literally. It's not the vegetables you eat or the protein that puts weight on you. It's the carbs from grains that turn into sugar immediately, and the sugary drinks that you drink, and all those other things. You do without it, and you can just have fat melt off of your system. You'd be surprised. So now after 30 days, most diabetics will find that their blood sugar is completely regulated. It's down in the 99, 95, 100 range. And you can start looking at your diet now and experimenting with whole grains and adding them back in. But check your blood sugar and see what meal you eat actually raises it up the most. And you start to see that actual foods you eat have a poisoning effect on your system because your body can't handle it. This isn't just important for diabetes or for obesity or anything else. It's the most important factor for heart disease that you could ever pay attention to. Because they now know if your meal causes your blood sugar to spike 50 points, over resting blood sugar in the morning, you've just doubled or tripled your chances of having a heart attack or a stroke for the next 2 to 3 hours until it goes back to normal. That's a known fact. It causes that much of disruption in how your body regulates itself that you're in a position to have a stroke or a heart attack. And if you think about most people that live at McDonald's and eat junk food and French fries every meal, every day they're spending 9 to 12 hours in a zone of a double or triple chance of having a heart attack and a stroke. You add emotional stress to that, dehydration to that, and you wonder why heart disease has become the #1 killer. And yet, what does medicine do? They all focus on cholesterol, right? Cholesterol is a protective mechanism in your body. You couldn't have a clear thought in your brain if you didn't have enough cholesterol. Cholesterol creates a medium by which electrical signals go all throughout your brain. And without it, they don't get to where they're actually going. This is one of the problems with Wi-Fi. It interrupts the signaling in your brain and how things go back and forth and actually connect. So if you add that to the fact that you're on cholesterol-lowering drugs all the time and you let it get too low, then you're basically just every single day creating an environment to where your brain cannot work properly due to the fact that you think you're saving your life with cholesterol-lowering drugs. Now, once you get to, when you think about the fact that raising your blood sugar has that big of an impact on your system, then why wouldn't you want to eat every single day that actually lowers you out of that zone? You know, it's not the cholesterol thing. Cholesterol is there as a protective mechanism. It's there to repair cellular damage, all these different things. The greatest evidence I ever have for that whole hoax about cholesterol causing heart disease, and that doesn't mean you don't have a cholesterol problem when you have heart disease. What it means is just lowering it doesn't get rid of your problem. You still have all the inflammation and all the other conditions going on, which told your body to make it in the first place, to try and correct it, because you weren't eating properly. Right? That's why I think progesterol is so important. It regulates your blood sugar. In studies, it's shown to lower it by 20%. It works on lowering high blood pressure, lowering cholesterol, raising the good, lowering the bad, all these different things in one actual nutrient. If you look at heart disease, in 20 years we've spent $20 to $15 billion a year on statin drugs. And in that time, we're talking $400 billion, right? And in that time, heart disease went from the #2 killer in America to #1. So how do you go to #1 after taking $400 billion of the drugs to control something? Obviously, it doesn't work, right? Even cardiologists are saying now that lowering your cholesterol or statin drugs only work for people that have already had a heart attack because it does have some anti-inflammatory benefits. For anybody else, it doesn't make any sense. People are all trying to get their cholesterol down to 150. Well, that's great. You know, when you have a stroke, when your cholesterol is 150, you have the most brain damage of anybody that will ever have a stroke.
Ooh, wow.
You know, almost half the people that ever have a heart attack and die had cholesterol of 150. I don't want to be in that half, you know. But it shows that Western medicine focuses on one little thing, and it's not the big picture. The big picture is, how do I feel more vibrant and alive every single day and establish the little things that will prevent me from having a heart attack? One's regulating blood sugar. Another one is simply drinking water. There's studies that show if you drink 4 glasses of water a day, you drop your chances of having a heart attack in half. Right? You don't need a prescription for water. Bob can tell you how to get water. We have water here. You can go in the back of the room. You don't want to have a heart attack before I'm done, just go get a glass of water. The reality is, this product fits right into anybody's program that wants to lose weight, wants to regulate their sugar, or just wants to get off the whole diabetic cartwheel. It basically fits in. Why? Because it establishes the pattern in your brain that allows you to cut your cravings for sweets and actually take control of your life. You want to know how it actually controls your life? And this is the little thing that most people don't think about either, is that the frontal lobe of your brain, the cerebral cortex, is actually run or dependent a lot on dopamine. It's where you make all your cognitive thought. It's where you're basically present and making decisions and seeing how things go. When you're not there, when you're eating sugar all the time, you're down in the reptile part of your brain, the one that developed millions and millions of years ago, and all it's thinking about is fighting or running away. It's having a stress response all the time, and the only thing that overrides it is the frontal lobe of your brain. You have to turn on the frontal lobe of your brain. You don't do that every single day that you wake up and have sugar for breakfast. You're basically shutting off your ability to reason and to make decisions and turning on the part of your brain that allows you to become more stressed. And so just change the way your brain works. When you have more dopamine over a period of time, it's also the area of your brain where you experience pleasure and where you actually have creative thoughts and creative thinking. This is why even watching or going to a museum and seeing art will turn on the front part of your brain, because it's all about creativity, higher thought, all these different things, and you feed into that by having protein for breakfast. And all of a sudden, after about 7 days, you find it easier not to eat sugar. You find it easier to make a decision about something that you want to do or what you want to eat or anything else, because a different part of your brain has now become predominant. And that's where you want to stay. And so, to kind of wrap it up, this fits perfectly into anybody's program who actually wants to accomplish all the dietary things we talked about today. But even that works better when you establish a baseline of your health, which has to do with light, it has to do with the insoles, it has to do with sleeping in magnetic energy, and drinking water. You have to drink clean water every single day, or none of the processes that are dependent on that, which is almost every part of your cell, will actually function at its optimum level. I'm going to take a break here and let Bob come up and do some things, and then I'll be back up to take some questions.